Well, it's been a while, guys. Apologies for the lack of content. I hate using that word, right? But I'm just going to use it, right? I'm not going to make a big deal. Slight adjustment, happy to accommodate the shifting sands of time and reality. Now, we have just come out of a 8-show run at the Fringe with common people, which went really, really well. There was a lot riding on it, not least the fact that the time, energy and resources that were deployed to try and make it happen inevitably are going to be justified or not justified by the success or failure of how it goes. But over the 8 days, we managed to get over 1,000 people through the doors. And this was particularly gratifying because apart from the fact that it says Darren McGarvey's common people, the majority of the promotion and the Fringe flyer and the Fringe booklet and stuff like that had very little details about who we were actually featuring because we hadn't actually managed to secure the guests yet, which is a wee lesson for me for next year. But to get 1,000 punters through the door and for them to come in and sit and listen to the very interesting, informative, entertaining, dynamic conversations that we had was just an immense privilege to be part of it. We had discussions about violence with Karen McCluskey and James Docherty. We had a discussion about the pros and cons of online, working online, essentially, with Paul Tweddle, who runs a big YouTube channel called Heavy Spoilers, and Dylan Lombard, who is a disability campaigner and photographer. And that was a very special discussion. In fact, they were all special in their own ways. We had discussions about the music industry. We had discussions about nutrition and mental health. And generally, I feel like the events reflected some of my own broader interests in life, because obviously when you see me usually in the public domain, I'll be talking about specific subjects that I'm perhaps more knowledgeable on, like social class, social inequality, addiction, things of that nature. And so with common people, it was a look at trying to expand that kind of wheelhouse of topics that we can tackle, where I play more of a backseat role, where I'm just chairing a discussion and letting other people in their various fields bring forth their kind of insights. But the main thing about common people, I think, and this is really what separates us from other outfits that you'll see, is that there is a real determination to platform working class experiences or less advantaged experiences, but not necessarily just for the sake of hearing about how hard people have had it or how difficult people have had it. We don't want to chat to people about the stereotypical stuff that you see in newspapers or in documentaries, where there's a relentless focus on the kind of iconography of poverty, you know, the methadone scripts, the facial scars, all of that sort of stuff. Because my experience tells me, having grown up in a deprived community, that there are people there who are just as hardworking, just as intelligent, just as knowledgeable as people of other social classes are unfairly associated with these traits due to the disproportionate number of middle and upper class people who either own or work in high levels of media. So it was really good to have people from working class or less advantaged backgrounds come in, and for the discussions, while not necessarily frivolous, to have a light-hearted tone, to be occasionally funny, and ultimately to be inspirational and quite positive, which I think is a really good energy to try and bring into the discourse generally, particularly where these communities that I'm mentioning are concerned. I, for one, while certainly never ever shy to call out systemic disadvantages, inequalities, the misery and despair suffered by too many people in this country, then I also know that in order to move through that, sometimes we need a powerful example to follow. Sometimes we need some specific information about how to get out of a corner that we've painted ourselves into, or that we've been painted into by circumstances. And so I know within myself the power that example can have, because there are many times throughout my life where just a few words from someone, or just hearing someone's story, has helped me to shift my thinking somewhat in order to decide that it was time to confront a difficulty. So while I'm sure there are some people out there who are maybe a bit more immersed in the sociological theory, immersed in the class politics, immersed in, whatever counterculture or subculture on the left they're immersed in, and there's always a time and place for theory and all of that sort of stuff, I do think sometimes we sometimes will belittle the impact that hearing positive stories can have on the morale of individuals. And indeed, I think sometimes we don't account enough for the autonomy of an individual in trying to positively impact adverse circumstances through looking at things differently, through the power of the example of others. And so with Common People, that's really partly the sort of effect that I would like this platform to have. So it was really great to see that theory manifest in reality at the Fringe. I would like to thank the Stand and all of the staff who work there, who were very accommodating of our needs, and who were very accommodating of me and all of my guests. I would like to thank all of the guests who came along, because the insight that they offered was really, really informative and really, really interesting for me personally, because I never went in over prepared. I think that sometimes if you over prepare for a discussion, then it can create a kind of dissonance in the event, where the discussion is naturally, organically heading in one direction, but you've already pre-planned the structure of it on a piece of paper. And so you keep dragging it back to your rigid format, when actually it's best to just be allowed to develop and occur the way that it flows naturally. So I enjoyed every single aspect of it, and while certainly was very, very tired by the end of it and glad to get home to my own bed after just months on the road, touring, filming television, and then obviously at the Fringe, it was a really positive experience. And going forward, I think what we'll be looking at, guys, is trying to have a more scheduled approach in terms of how many episodes you could expect throughout the course of a week, where you'll be able to find those episodes. And so we're working on that to make sure that there is a bit of consistency that's built in here, whether that's me coming to the studio, whether that's me having a mobile kit that I can get stuff to you if I'm on the road. So just know that all of that's in hand, because I often get questions online regarding that sort of stuff. But genuinely, just want to say thanks to everyone who came out, everyone who shared online. Thanks to Paul here at the Green Room for all of the work that he's about to undertake in terms of getting those shows to you. Thanks to David Roddy and everybody at Trend Differently, who have been constantly creating all of the digital assets that you see that publicise what we do. It was really, really good to kind of experiment this year with different formats and things, and to get a lot of information about what is working really, really well, and develop relationships and a way of communicating that's conducive to getting the best stuff out as quick as possible. So I'll just leave it there, folks. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll catch you soon.